So I guess Edmonton, Alberta has been registered as Canada's first 15-minute city. And what is a 15-minute city? It's a city that's broken up into districts that take a person within their district 15 minutes to bike or walk to where they gotta go. So the grocery store, the dentist, and once they start digitizing things, and once you have a registered digital ID, the reason that they are starting these smart cities is for carbon footprint on each individual. So you won't be able to drive, and if you do, you're going to max out your carbon footprint, so you won't be able to eat beef if you've driven too far, and maybe these like invisible barriers that break up each of the districts may lower your score if you drive through them. Who knows?
Oxford, and this has just been passed by the council, to divide the city here into, a bit of a squiggly city, into 6 parts. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And you will only have the freedom to operate in the part that you live. So if this is you, the idea is that everybody will live within 15 minutes of the things they need. 15 minutes of a school, 15 minutes of a doctor's, 15 minutes of a supermarket. And if you want to travel to the other zones in your city, or maybe soon your town, you will have to go out an approved route. You will have to journey around the outside of the city in order to re-enter another section of the city. This plan is supposed to be saving the planet. And the idea is that you won't simply be able to cross over into other sections of your city anymore. So if your mother, for example, lived over here, you wouldn't be able to just go across and see her. This would all be done via e-gates, electronic gates, and number plate recognition. You in your area will only be allowed within that 15-minute zone that you've been allocated. The number plate recognition will know if you leave your zone. And you can apply for permission, a permit, to leave your zone and travel to another zone. But you'll only be allowed to do this about 100 times a year. This is real. I just have to stop and say that. This is actually being passed by Oxford Council. This is happening in the next 2 years, 2024 it begins. And if you use up all your 100 passes that someone designates whether you're allowed to have to go into the different zones, you'll be fined. Your number plate will be recognised. It will observe that you've gone somewhere you're not allowed in your own city, and it will fine you £100 or £80 or whatever the fine number is.
The 15-minute cities that everyone is talking about now is the Great Reset's trendy new name for open-air prison camps. The idea is to corral everyone into neighborhoods small enough to walk from one end to the other in 15 minutes. Everything you need within a half-mile radius, so that you'll never, ever have to leave.
These Dutch cities are banning petrol and diesel delivery vehicles to tackle air pollution and climate change. From 2025, all deliveries must be made in electric vehicles in 14 cities across the Netherlands. It will prevent CO2 emissions equivalent to taking 216,000 cars off the road. And businesses will get to help make the switch with grants of €5,000 towards an electric van or lorry. The cities implementing zero emission zones include Amsterdam and Tilburg. Other areas around the world are also banning exhaust fumes. In the US, Santa Monica has set up a voluntary zero-emission delivery zone. The UK's first zero-emission street has opened in central London. Beach Street will be closed to polluting vehicles for 18 months. The scheme could expand into London's financial district in 2022. What's your city doing to encourage cleaner, climate-resilient transport? Brought to you by people who want to keep you in a 15-minute prison city. The World Economic Forum. I'm the Tyrannical Lisp.
While the post-edit Tyrannical Lisp voiceover is satire, it still reflects the truth. The Great Reset is pure fascism, hiding behind an effeminate homosexual veneer. Perhaps this is because some people see it as harmless, and others are rendered silent out of fear of being called homophobic. Or maybe fascism is just queer. Whatever the reason, there is nothing harmless about the Great Reset. The perpetrators of this outrageous plan are marketing it with a gentle tone, telling you that
So basically, they're coming after your land, and they're going to start 15-minute cities. And their slogan is just transition. Where did that come from? Well, it comes from a group called the C40. Cities 40. They are trying to make certain cities, almost all major cities in the world, 15-minute cities. And for us rural folks, they have planned to land grab. How will they do this? They are starting to make changes in our land use bylaws without our knowledge, without any votes or anything. This is a time to get involved because they have not passed this yet and they want to pass it September this year. Everybody in rural communities, everyone in large cities, start calling your mayors, start calling your MLAs and asking them what are the changes that they want to make to the land use bylaws so that we know, because this is what they're going to put in there. They're going to make slight changes that don't really make sense, but you will have to watch that in case of emergencies or lockdowns or climate lockdowns, what are they allowed to do to your land? Those of you who think that this is a conspiracy theory, this is already happening in the Netherlands with the farm protests. And those of you who really think that we're out to lunch, remember 2020 when you were just touting, oh, it's only 2 weeks to flatten the curve? Yeah, how did that work out? And then remember when you were saying it's safe and effective? Yeah. How are those like side effects that you don't want to talk about going? Exactly. So basically, this isn't the first time they have attempted to do this. I was at the protests when the NDP tried to do a land grab with the Y2Y group. Who's the Y2Y group? Well, they're called the Yukon to Yellowstone group. And they were saying that it was for caribou migration and that we needed to save that land and kick off all the farmers that were basically in that category of land. But you know what's really funny? That's exactly where the biggest oil reserves are in North America. So was the NDP really trying to save the caribou, or were they trying to get the oil companies to not go in and drill so that they could make a false energy crisis so that they could actually expedite this? So I need everybody to call your MLAs, call your mayors, and actually ask them, what are these changes? Then we need to start educating people. Like, repost this, make your own videos, tag me in it. We need to start discussing what are these changes that they're trying to do behind our backs. Those of you who think I'm lying, here are some receipts. I will also put this on my Twitter, and I will try and make a longer Rumble video where I explain all of this in detail. There it is, C40 cities, green and just transition. They even have a playbook so that you can get your youth going. You know, Greta Thunberg and so forth. Hey, Texas, your mayor's in on this. And this is basically the goals that they're trying to reach. We're very cool, right? Except they will actually need to maybe cut out your ability to drive. And Don Iveson, mayor of Edmonton, liberal, go figure, he was part of this. And if you think this is a conspiracy theory, please look this up yourself.